What's up? It's me. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. If I got my act together, got this edited and uploaded in time, right now is Christmas morning here in Australia, which is probably a terrible idea if I'm looking to get views, but I play by my own rules.
I play by my own rules, nobody else's, not even my own.
Down in the description, I will have a link to some free presets for you guys, just a little Merry Christmas from me to you. And while you're down there, if you could hit the big fat thumbs up and subscribe, it's super helpful. Recently, I upgraded my car, and that means that this guy has to go. And just like anything you sell online, that means I need to take some photos. I figured this would be a good opportunity to share some tips on what to do when photographing cars. And if you're new to the channel, I do this professionally. I don't just take photos of shitty 2009 Hyundai Getzers. First tip on our car photography checklist is going to be clean your car. Make sure it's washed, unless you're shooting for a full drive company who wants to have a filthy muddy car to show what the car's capable of. They're probably going to want a clean vehicle. So make sure it's nice and clean, and let's go do that right now. Star wipe transition. Whoa, that was quick. Look how clean she is. That definitely happened right now and not 2 days ago. I won't tell if you don't. So a tip within a tip is make sure you have some sort of cloth or chamois that is car appropriate on board with you, because I guarantee you, if you're going from location to location, your car will gather dust. It's just natural. This is the world we live in. So carry a car appropriate cloth. Tip number 2 is a pretty important one that we're not following today, and that is choosing your location and your time of day appropriately. Right now, it's the only time I had available to shoot this video for you guys. It is 1 o'clock, the sun is baking down on us. There's almost not a cloud in the sky, it's just blue sky, and it just looks pretty drab and boring, to be honest. But when you're going out to plan your next shoot, make sure you choose the location and the time of day appropriately, be it sunset, sunrise, etc. Normally I plan much better, but today just kind of is what it is. The third one is pretty important, and this is going to be your lens selection. For me and my car work, probably 80 to 90% of my work does come from an 85mm G Master. I absolutely love that lens for this sort of work. The rest of the shots do tend to come from a 70 to 200 G Master and also the 35 f1.4 Zeiss. Today I will be playing around with the 50mm 1.2 G Master because I do have that on loan from Sony, and I want to see what all the hype is about. So step 3 of the lens choice also ties in with step number 4, which is going to be our framing and our pose. When you're planning to shoot most of your shots with an 85 or a 70 to 200, you need to be aware that you're going to need more space to go back. So if you're in a warehouse which is fairly tight, an 85mm is probably not going to be the right choice. You might need to look more for a 35. But if you're going to be shooting a car at the end of a bridge, you can go for a 200 to 600. So you just need to choose your location and your lens choice appropriately. Choosing the pose is going to be really crucial to what framing and what composition that we're working with. The standard pose that I go to for almost every car, because it's so widely used and it just works, is going to be the standard shooting 45 degrees from the front driver's headlight, and we're going to have the wheels turned toward the passenger side. This gives us a nice view of the whole car, and it just looks really nice. And having those wheels turned, this gives a bit more stance, a bit more presence, and creates a bit of a vibe rather than just a sterile environment of straight on. Another tip to really separate you from the rest when you're shooting cars, give you a little bit more of that professional spice, if you will, is shoot from around headlight height. I'm 6'2", this is a small car. If I stand up and take a shot, I'm going to see the top of the roof, the bonnet's going to look a little bit strange, and it's just not going to be a very professional looking shot. So if you're shooting from around headlight, things start to look a little bit more natural. Now alternatively, don't get too low. If you're flat chest on the ground shooting up at this thing, that's awesome if you've got a slammed Audi R8 with 2 fat exhausts coming out the back, and you've got the lane line of the road going straight through the middle, and it looks like it's about to drive off into the sunset. That looks awesome. But this is a family hatchback, and it's not made for that. As with any type of photography, look for leading lines to help your composition. Cars are so often associated with lines, be it road markings, car parks, there's all sorts of lines that you can work in your advantage to take the best shot possible. So know the car that you're shooting and know the shot that you want. Tip number 5 might be one of the most important ones, maybe my favorite of the lot, because it just gives you a little bit more of that professional spice we were talking about, a bit of that flavor to separate you from the next guy in town, and that is choosing your aperture appropriately. If you have a lens that goes from f1.2 to 2.8, it's very easy to go, I want to blow out the background, jump aboard the cream team, and just throw bokeh balls at everything. Be the Ash Ketchum of blurred out backgrounds. Bokeh balls is life.
Go Pocono!
And that's awesome because that does look really cool. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I shoot some of my hero shots for my car companies at f1.4, at f1.8 because it does look sick. But if you're a car company and you've spent 2-3 years designing this car and you want every inch of this thing to be shown off, you've got some textures in the quarter panels, you've got air intakes, you've got a nice big wing depending what car it is, you might want that shot at f11, f7, 5.6, whatever. Some of these guys are going to want to show off every single thing that car has to offer. If you come back to them and you've got a shot that's shot 45 degrees at f1.2 and pretty much everything from the front tire back is going to be out of focus, but if they go, hang on, we wanted this whole thing crisp, and you just go, that's all we got, it's just not going to cut it. So what I like to do, and what I think is a really good practice, is find your hero shots or find the compositions you want, shoot them at f1.2, shoot them at f2.8, shoot them at f11, shoot them at f7, shoot a wide range of apertures, because a lot of the time you might have someone come to you, yeah, we want everything shot wide open, and then they see it and they go, oh, that doesn't look like how I thought it did. And then you've given them an f11 version as well, and they go, oh yeah, the whole car's in focus, that looks awesome. They start to build a bit more trust and they get used to your style, and then later on down the line, future shots, they go, we need these 5 shots, you can shoot everything else, just make sure you get these 5, we trust you to do your thing and get the rest of the shots. That's a really good way to build that trust with the client, make sure you're getting the right shots, choosing the right aperture.
Baby, baby, baby.
Tip number 6 is, doesn't matter what time of day you're shooting, morning at the beach, at night in town, under the city lights, shoot with a polarizer. Polarizers will help mitigate and remove any sort of glare and reflections that we're seeing from our reflective surfaces. And let's face it, cars are full of them. Metallic paints, metals, plastics, glass windshields, chrome wheels, you name it. They will all give some sort of reflection back, and we want to cut back on as much of that as possible. If you're shooting with a polarizer and your first shot has no reflections on the hood and the front headlights, but it's got reflections on the backside windows, what you can do is take 2 exposures and twist that polarizer in between. You can then go into Photoshop, mask these together, remove reflections from all over the car. I also do the same sort of method making HDR images. Sometimes when you get a car, you only get it for 1 day, and that means if you do avoid shooting in the middle of the day, you're going to burn about 4 or 5 hours doing absolutely nothing. So sometimes if you can find a location that does work fairly well at that time of day, take a few shots, HDR bracket a couple, stitch them together in Lightroom, and you can save your ass with a nice HDR image. If you'd like to know how to do a HDR, I do have a video which will be linked up top of how to stitch together panoramas in Lightroom. It is the exact same process. Instead of clicking panorama, just scroll down and click HDR. Thank you for making this far in the video. You've put up with this stupid, annoying Australian accent for way too long. If you did find any value in this at all, please consider giving me a big fat thumbs up. That stuff is super helpful and helps grow this channel into 2022. Don't forget, I've got these presets down there for you in the description down below. While you're down there, if you're looking for some more sensual experiences, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can see what we get up to in the future. Anyway, make sure you go listen to A$AP Rocky's album Testing. I dig that album a lot. I'll see you in the next one. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. Bye.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
That'll play.
And a Happy New Year.